Hi, everyone. Cyber threats are not occasional incidents anymore. They are a constant presence, scanning, probing, and looking for weakness points 24/7. Most of the traditional security programs just were not built for this kind of pressure. The pace of change in tech environments, from cloud migrations to hybrid workforces, has made the old ways of doing things obsolete. That's where Continuous Threat Exposure Management steps in. It's not a tool or a product, it's a strategic approach to security that never stops. Instead of responding to threats after the fact, Continuous Threat Exposure Management Program helps organizations continuously identify, validate, and address exposures before they become breaches. Continuous Threat Exposure Management is a shift in how we approach cybersecurity. From a one-time or scheduled assessment to a rolling, ongoing evaluation of where the organization is vulnerable. Think of it like this. Every day your attack surface changes. New devices come online. Employees install new software. Cloud configurations get updated. At the same time, attackers are innovating, creating new methods to exploit the tiniest gaps. Continuous Threat Exposure management responds to this reality by asking a simple, daily question. What can be attacked today, and what are we doing about it? Instead of working in silos, Continuous Threat Exposure Management connects several functions. Attack Surface Management, Breach and Attack Simulation, Risk-Based Prioritization, Threat Intelligence, Vulnerability Management. Together, these pieces create a system that constantly tests your defenses, identifies weaknesses, and helps you act on what matters. Why traditional security approaches are not enough. Most organizations still rely on CVSS scores, annual penetration tests, or massive vulnerability scan reports. These methods collect mountains of data, but often lack context. And without context, it's almost impossible to understand what really matters. Not every vulnerability is a crisis. Not every system is equally critical. And not every alert deserves your immediate attention. Continuous Threat Exposure Management solves this by reframing the challenge. Instead of trying to fix everything, it focuses on the exposures that are most likely to be targeted and the ones that could actually cause damage to organizations. This is the key difference. From vulnerability management to exposure management. It's no longer about theoretical risk, it's about real-world risk in real time. Breaking down the 5 stages of continuous threat exposure. Management CTEM typically follows a 5-stage process that repeats continuously. Here's how it works. First is scoping. Scoping starts by defining what you're trying to protect. Not all systems and assets carry the same weight. Focus on what is most critical to your business. Sensitive data, essential operations, customer systems, etc. Second is discovery. Once you have scoped the environment, the next step is finding every exposed asset. This includes on-prem systems, cloud services, shadow IT, misconfigurations, outdated software, and anything else that could be exploited. Third is prioritization. Here's where most companies struggle. With hundreds or thousands of vulnerabilities, where do you start? TIM leans on risk-based vulnerability management, RBVM, to help teams focus on the threats that are most likely to be exploited, based on real-world data, exploitability, and business impact. Fourth is validation. Once you know what could be risky, it is time to test whether it really is. Simulate attacks, run breach and attack simulations, conduct red teaming, or use threat emulation to confirm whether an attacker could realistically exploit the exposure. Breach and attack. Simulations are cybersecurity tools and platforms designed to continuously test and validate the effectiveness of an organization's security posture by simulating real-world cyber attacks in a safe and controlled manner. Emulates tactics, techniques, and procedures, TTPs, used by real threat actors. It tests defenses, evaluates how well security controls, like firewalls, EDRs, CIEMs, detect and respond to threats, identifies gaps, highlights vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, or blind spots in the security infrastructure, provides remediation guidance, offers actionable insights to improve defenses. Fifth is mobilization. The final step is taking action, including patching systems, updating configurations, segmenting networks, or making policy changes, or working on VAS and red teaming, finding and fixing gaps. What makes this different from the traditional process is that action is driven by validated, prioritized insights, not generic scan reports. This process isn't meant to be done once and forgotten. It's designed to run continuously, adapting as your environment and the threat landscape evolve. The role of RBVM in smarter prioritization. One of the most powerful components of continuous threat exposure management is risk-based vulnerability management, RBVM. Instead of chasing down every flaw with a high CVSS score, RBVM adds context to help you understand what truly matters. RBVM considers whether a vulnerability is actively being exploited in the wild, the criticality of the asset involved, intelligence on attacker behavior and methods, whether the exposure lies on a known attack path, the potential impact on the business if compromised. Why continuous threat? Exposure management is becoming the new standard. Security leaders are adopting continuous threat exposure management because it mirrors how attackers work constantly, probing, adapting, and looking for the next opportunity. CTM brings several key benefits. Provides a clear picture of real-time risk exposure. Reduces the time between discovery and remediation. Supports security decisions with measurable data. Bridges the gap between IT, security, and business priorities. It turns cybersecurity from a reactive, isolated function into a strategic enabler of resilience and growth. Organizations that adopt CTM aren't just checking boxes. They're building systems that keep pace with threats. Continuous threat. Exposure management isn't a passing trend. It's a response to a fundamental shift in how cyber attacks happen and how we need to defend against them. Continuous threat. Exposure management offers ongoing visibility, context-aware prioritization, actionable insights, and most importantly, resilience by design. The rationale behind adopting this concept and rolling it out in your organization is straightforward. Continuously plan, monitor, and reduce your level of risk using validation technologies that prompt prioritized remediation actions based on the business context, so executives understand and engage. If you want to stay ahead of attackers, it's time to move beyond basic scans and patch cycles. TM helps you take control continuously, intelligently, and strategically. To learn more on cybersecurity-related contents, visit and follow SecureB4. Thanks for watching.